Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on FPL Now. Today we're going to be going over a potential wildcard draft for Game Week 20. So if you're excited for the video, make sure to drop a like down below. Leave a comment, are you thinking of wildcarding anytime soon? Subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, should you be wildcarding this early after the unlimited transfers that we got throughout the International World Cup? And I mean, the answer is very, very team dependent. Like, you could have a bunch of fires you need to put out. Like, you might have Darwin Núñez that you really want to get rid of, Cancelo in your team that just has seemed to fall out of favor, other players that are injured like Patterson, and just players that you just want out of your team. And again, it might be very early to wildcard, but at the same time, if you're that unhappy with your team, it might just be time to do it. So let's go into a potential wildcard draft if you are thinking of hitting the wildcard button this week. So in goal, we'd still have Kepa and Ward. I think for this price point, there's not really too many other keepers that are better than this. And Chelsea still have some nice fixtures coming up, barring the Liverpool game. But again, when Chelsea play Liverpool, you can just play Ward again, who's got Brighton. So it's not the end of the world. There are other like keepers as well that you could bring in, like Sanchez, who potentially could have doubles soon. Arsenal double in like 23, so you could bring in Ramsdale if you really wanted to. You could bring in one of the keepers that double this week, Edison, but again, that stops you from having 3 outfield Man City players. You could bring in De Gea if you really wanted to, but again, most people are going to have Luke Shaw this week, so there's no point of like doubling up on United defense, especially when one of the games is City, so they're probably going to concede in that game. So yeah, I think Kepa and Ward, for the price points that they're at, are still probably the best 2 keepers you could have in a wildcard draft. But again, there are other options. Again, Nick Pope, who's very expensive. Newcastle have got some really, really nice fixtures coming up as well, but he's a little bit more expensive, and those funds could be used elsewhere. So these are my 2 keepers, Kepa and Ward. Again, we might even have more doubles announced for like 21 before the Game Week 20 deadline, and if that is the case, then I'll probably make an updated wildcard draft, because this will be very outdated by then. But either way, in goal, Kepa and Ward. The back line consists of White, me, Stones, Shaw, and Trippier. So no Cancelo in this. I've downgraded to Stones. There's no Spurs defenders in the back line this week either, even though they've got a double. The double is Arsenal and City, so they're probably not going to keep a clean sheet in either of those games. So honestly, the only Spurs asset you really want to be targeting this week is Harry Kane. I don't think any others really come close. If you were going to bring in a Spurs defender, it'd have to be Perisic or Doherty, but at the same time, they're probably not going to get you any clean sheet points. And again, both Arsenal and City are pretty good at the back, so again, the attacking returns may be a little bit on the minimum, unless it's like a penalty from like Harry Kane or something. So yeah, I don't think it's really worth bringing in a Spurs defender. And I think the doubles kind of puts you into a false sense of security, being like, okay, they've got 2 games, well, that's going to get me a lot more points than like 1 game. Ben Mee's got Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth are terrible at the moment. Brentford, really, really good at the moment. They've been playing really well. They've got really nice fixtures coming up. There's no reason as to why in 1 game Ben Mee can't get like 6 points for a clean sheet, and then obviously appearance points and maybe even bonus, as opposed to Perisic, who could concede 2 in both games and come out with just 1 point in both games overall of 2 points, and might not even get played both of them. So it's just because it's double, just because of the fixtures, it's just maybe not worth it. So yeah, Ben Mee's been brought in. Again, you could have any Brentford defender really. I just think Ben Mee for 4.6 is an absolute steal at this moment. And look at those fixtures. They've got Bournemouth, Leeds, Southampton. Yeah, Arsenal's a tough game, and then Crystal Palace. So really nice fixtures for Ben Mee. And then yeah, Stones instead of Cancelo. Stones is just one of the more nailed City defenders at the moment. You could also go Ake if you wanted to. I think Lewis is a little bit too risky at this point in time. I know his price point is very appealing, but it's just not the greatest kind of it's not the best risk to take. And I think you could obviously have like 3 outfield City players, but one of them is going to be Haaland. I mean, obviously you could have De Bruyne, but then who's your other outfield player? You know, Mahrez could be an option, Grealish, Foden. You just don't know if they're going to play both games. I think Stones is kind of cemented to play both of those games. And we all remember what he did one double game week. I don't know if it was last season or the season before, where he scored like 3 goals or something and came out with like 20 odd points. Absolutely ridiculous. Got Luke Shaw as well. I think he's gone up to like 5.1 now. I luckily brought him in on 4.9 and got the 15-point haul. But yeah, he does double this week. And again, they don't have the greatest fixtures, but I mean, that Crystal Palace game, you could expect a clean sheet there. So yeah, I think Luke Shaw, if you're on a wild card this week, is just you got to bring him in. And then Trippier as well. You know, 5.5 mil, but again, that's how much he is for me. But he's just an absolute bonus point player. Absolutely loves a bonus point. I wouldn't mind going double Newcastle defense as well, but again, that kind of stops you from going for a Newcastle forward like a Wilson or something like that later on down the line. So yeah, you could go Botman as well instead of me, but it is completely up to you. But yeah, Botman instead of me also a really, really good shout. The midfield consists of Martinelli, De Bruyne, Rashford, Saka, and Almiron. So I do actually have triple Arsenal on this wild card, and that's just simply because obviously Arsenal are playing really, really well at the moment. They've got a double coming up, we all know that, and at the same time they could also get an extra double as well in like 21 or something. So if that's the case, then you want 3 Arsenal players. And again, if more doubles are announced, this is why I will be changing up the wild card a bit, but as of right now, I think 3 Arsenal players, you know, Martinelli, White, and Saka, not too bad. You could also go Odegaard over Martinelli if you really wanted to. There's nothing wrong with that. I think I still have like 0.4 mil in the bank on this draft, but yeah, I've just gone Martinelli just because I've got so much more money saved up in him. But if you do want to go Odegaard, then I completely understand that. He's one of the top performing midfielders this season, so yeah, completely understand that. De Bruyne did get rested in the FA Cup, so I'm confident he's going to be playing both of the doubles, and at the same time he's about dual haul. He's been creating so many chances, he's just not been getting any returns, and I was one of the people that had De Bruyne after the break of the World Cup, and it's just really annoying that he hasn't returned yet. But I think in this double he will hopefully get something, so fingers crossed for that. And then yeah, Rashford, he's just in the form of his life right now. He did take a penalty as well in the FA Cup against Everton when Bruno was on the pitch, but I don't think that means that he's on pens now, because he kind of went straight over to Bruno after he took the pen and kind of like thanked him. So I think Bruno just gave it him to carry on his like scoring home scoring form. So I wouldn't really read too much into that. I mean, if he's on penalties, happy days. I just don't think that is good enough information to think that Rashford is now the penalty kick taker. And then yeah, I've gone Saka as well, who is a penalty kick taker, and again, already spoke about the Arsenal assets, and you could really have any 8 mil player in that position. You could also have Kulusevski this week if you wanted to, who does have the double, but I don't know. I think Saka, you're going to bring him in later on down the line if you have this draft, and I think it just kind of saves you a transfer. And I don't think Kulusevski is going to do too much this week just because of the fixtures. If Spurs had better fixtures, I would definitely have Kulusevski on this draft, but there's not really any other 8 mil players you'd really bring in. Madison's injured. Mount, I don't think is a really good option at the moment. And then yeah, like I say, you've got Saka and Kulusevski. And I feel like there's one more. There's Foden as well, but again, the rotation with Foden is just not really worth it. So that's why I've gone Saka on this draft. This draft, by the way, is like 4-4-2, 3-5-2, something like that. But yeah, it's definitely only got 2 strikers. And then Almiron as well, another player that, again, just in the form of his life, really nice fixtures coming up. And yeah, I think he's going to get some nice points over the next few fixtures. So that's the midfield. The up top consists of Ferguson, Kane, and Haaland. So obviously I don't really need to speak about Haaland. Everyone's going to have him. You'd be crazy not to own him. And he's obviously got the double this week. I don't think he's triple captaincy worthy this week. I think we're going to get better doubles in the future. But he's definitely captaincy worthy this week. I've also gone Kane as well after that 16-point haul or whatever it was. On penalties, has a double coming up. He's literally having a really good season. If it wasn't for Haaland overshadowing him, everybody would have Kane in their team. So he's definitely in there as well. Both of these are on penalties, so you got 2 penalty kick takers up top. You got Saka, who's a penalty kick taker. So you've got a few penalty takers in the team, which is quite nice. And I've also brought Ferguson in as the 4.5 mil striker, just simply because he's getting a lot more game time now. If you go to his minutes, again, not a great sample size, but he got 1 minute against Southampton, played 30 against Arsenal, and obviously scored a goal. And then he played in the 4-1 win against Everton, got 70 minutes in that, scored a goal, got an assist as well. So yeah, I think if he keeps kind of getting starts and stuff, he could be a really nice option, especially with Brighton probably getting some doubles on the horizon. I think Ferguson is a nice little option to have in the team for 4.5 mil. And yeah, I think he's going to get a lot more game time now. I think he's definitely impressing the manager. Trossard has kind of fell out of favor, so that might actually help Ferguson, but we'll see what happens there. But this is the wildcard team for Game Week 20. Again, to be fair, if we get doubles announced and Arsenal is one of the doubles, I don't think this would change too much because you already have 3 Arsenal players. Again, the option between Ben-Mee and Botman, that's up to you. I quite like the idea of having Ben-Mee. He's just got some really nice fixtures coming, like Bournemouth and Southampton, and then Leeds away. I could see 3 clean sheets in those games, and then even Crystal Palace at home as well. And then for the Arsenal game, you obviously just wouldn't play him. But again, you could go Botman as well instead and just triple up on the Newcastle players. It does stop you from having a Newcastle attacker like Wilson or something like that. But you know, if you're not really going to be having Wilson on this draft regardless. So yeah, I mean, triple Newcastle or Ben-Mee, depends on which way you want to go. I guess you could also go Raya as well if you. I guess if you really wanted to, you could go. You could go Raya in goal. Hang on, let me get some forwards at the moment. You could go Raya in goal for Brentford, and then you know he's 4.6 mil, and then you could get rid of Ben-Mee, and then you could bring in Botman, and it's the same price I believe because Botman's cheaper than. In fact, I think it actually saves you. Yeah, so I've still got 0.5 in the bank, so you could do that if you wanted to. I mean, Raya's fixtures after the next 5. Still not terrible. I mean, Arsenal is tough, you know, Man United away is tough, then Crystal Palace, Fulham, Everton, Leicester, Brighton, Newcastle's tough, Wolves, Villa, so not too bad at all, really. And then there's, again, other keepers you could really change to if you wanted to, and we all know what's kind of going on with Chelsea at the moment, so yeah, I guess if you didn't want Kepa, because of obviously the situation at Chelsea, then I think that is also a good option, is to bring in Raya. But again, it is up to you. Triple Newcastle or bring in Ben Mee, Raya. Again, just a couple of other options. That's going to be everything for today's wildcard draft video, though. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider hitting the like button down below. Let's try and hit 50 likes. Leave a comment. Are you wildcarding anytime soon? Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell. It's everything from me. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace.